The red sun of Kethmorin cast long shadows across the dead planet's surface. Commander Han Woo Kim stood on the bridge of the human ship Morning Star, watching the alien vessels move into position around the ancient vault below. His fingers drummed against the metal railing as he studied the tactical display. "Sir, the Valeth ships are moving closer than planned," said Lieutenant Soman Park, his second in command. Her voice carried a note of worry that made Weanwu look up from his screens. The massive Valeth crystal ships hung in space like floating diamonds. Yes. Their surfaces pulsed with blue light as they talked to each other through light signals. The insect-like Thrakari vessels buzzed around them in tight formations. Gas clouds that were actually Nalundi ships drifted between the larger craft. The snake-like Corvexi vessels coiled through space with their long, segmented bodies. "They're probably just excited about the discovery," Hyan Wu said, but something felt wrong. In his 20 years of service, he had learned to trust his gut feelings. Down on the planet's surface, engineer Wujin Li was knee-deep in ancient technology. The precursor vault stretched deep into the ground, its walls covered in symbols that glowed with their own light. His team of human workers moved carefully through the tunnels, their boots echoing in the silence. "This is incredible," Wu Jin whispered into his radio. "The power readings are off the charts. Whatever the precursors built here, it's still active after millions of years." Back on the ship, Admiral Taeho Yoon received a coded message on his private channel. The elderly man's face went pale as he read the alien symbols on his screen. His hands shook as he typed back a simple reply. "Understood. Humanity must not know." The message had come from Zilthera, the Valeth commander. Her crystal body flashed with angry red light as she sent the same message to the other alien leaders. The plan they had spent months preparing was about to begin. On the planet, Medik Dayun Choi was setting up a field hospital near the vault. Entrance. Human and alien workers moved supplies and equipment under the harsh red sun. The atmosphere was thin but breathable, and the gravity was lighter than Earth's. It should have been a perfect day for archaeological work. "The aliens are acting strange today," said pilot Jiho Nem, as he landed his shuttle near the medical station. "Their communications are all encrypted. Usually they talk openly on the shared channels." Dayun looked up at the ships in orbit. "Maybe they're worried about security." This is the biggest precursor find in history. Deep in the vault, Wu Jin's team had reached the central chamber. The room was huge, with a ceiling that disappeared into darkness above. In the center sat a massive device that hummed with power. Ancient screens flickered with alien texts, and weapon systems that looked untouched by time lined the walls. "Commander, you need to see this." Wu Jin's voice crackled over the radio. "The weapons down here, they're not just advanced. They're specifically designed to fight the exact alien species we're working with." Hyan Wu felt ice in his stomach. "Say that again, Wu Jin." "The targeting systems, the weapon signatures. It's like the precursors knew exactly what the Valeth, Thrakari, Nalundi, and Corvexi were weak against. Every weapon here is built to kill them." In space, Admiral Taeho watched the alien ships take new positions. They were no longer exploring. They were surrounding the human vessels. His hands shook as he reached for the ship's communication system. "All human ships. This is Admiral Yoon. Prepare for the transmission cutoff," as a Valeth energy beam sliced through his ship's bridge. The eternal dawn broke apart in a ball of fire and metal. Commander Hyan Wu watched in horror as alien weapons opened fire on every human vessel. The ships that had been their allies for 3 years were now trying to kill them all. Red alert. "All hands to battle stations." Soman shouted, but it was too late. The aliens had caught them completely off guard. The Morning Star shook as Thrakari missiles struck its hull. Emergency lights flashed red as the ship's systems failed one by one. Human crews ran through corridors that filled with smoke and the sound of breaking metal. On the planet, the ground shook as orbital bombardment began. Wu Jin grabbed his radio as ancient stones fell from the vault ceiling. "All teams, get to the deep tunnels. The aliens are attacking." Doyun ran between falling rocks, trying to reach wounded humans who lay bleeding in the dust. alien ground. Forces were landing, their weapons cutting down anyone who moved. Jiho's shuttle exploded as he tried to take off with civilian workers. He threw himself clear just as the fuel tanks went up in flames that lit the red sky in orbit. The human fleet was dying. Ship after ship broke apart under alien fire. The crews who had worked side by side with their alien partners for months were being murdered without mercy. Communications. Specialist Sung Ho Kong managed to tap into the alien channels before his ship lost power. What he heard made his blood run cold. The aliens were coordinating the attack with military precision. They called it Operation Clean Slate. Every human in space and on the planet was to be eliminated. No survivors, no witnesses. "This is Zilthera to all purification-packed forces." The Valeth commander's translated voice came through clearly. "Humanity has served its purpose. They led us to the precursor weapons, but they are too dangerous to live. Complete the cleansing."
Commander.
Haiyan Wu's ship spun out of control, its engines dead and life support failing. Through the broken windows of the bridge, he watched the last human transport try to escape the planet's atmosphere. A Corvexy ship wrapped around it like a snake and crushed it to pieces. So Dashmin pulled herself up from the floor. "Blood running down her face, sir. We're losing everything. Entire fleet is gone." The orbital bombardment continued for 6 hours. When it finally stopped, the surface of Kethmorin was covered in fire and smoking craters. The great human expedition that had numbered 50,000 people was now scattered in pieces across a dead world, in the deep tunnels of the precursor vault. 200 humans huddled in the darkness. There were engineers, medics, pilots, and soldiers who had been lucky enough to be underground when the killing began. Wu Jin checked his scanner and whispered, "The radiation levels up there will kill anything that moves. We're trapped." Above them, alien ships swept the planet with sensors, looking for any sign of human life. When they found nothing but background radiation and dead bodies, they sent a message to the Galactic Coalition. "This is Valeth Commander Zilthera. Human species has been eliminated due to aggressive behavior and violation of galactic peace accords. All human territories are now open for redistribution among Coalition members." In the darkness of the vault, the survivors listened to the alien broadcasts that declared humanity extinct. They had been betrayed by their closest allies and abandoned by the galaxy they had tried to serve. But they were not dead, not yet. And the aliens had made one terrible mistake. They had left humans alone with the most advanced weapons in the AS. Galaxy weapons specifically designed to destroy them. The betrayal was complete, but the story was just beginning. 6 months had passed since the day humanity died. Commander Haiyan Wu Kim sat in the dim light of the precursor vault, watching his people work. They moved quietly through the ancient halls, their footsteps soft on the stone floors. 200 survivors was all that remained of 50,000 humans who had come to this dead world. "The water recyclers are working at 90%, reported engineer Wu Jin Lee. His clothes were patched and dirty, but his hands were steady as he worked. On the alien machines they had learned to fix. "We can support our current numbers for another year, maybe 2. Haiyan nodded. Water was life down here in the deep tunnels. The surface of Kethmorin was still poisoned with radiation from the alien bombardment. Nothing could live up there. For long, Lieutenant Soman Park entered the command chamber, her face grim. "Sir, we lost contact with Team 7. They were scavenging in the outer tunnels." "Alien patrol?" Haiyan Wu asked. "Most likely. The Corvexy have been sending search teams deeper into the ruins every week. They're looking for something." Haiyan Wu knew what they were looking for. The aliens had not found all the precursor weapons yet. They knew humans might have survived, and they wanted to finish the job. In the medical bay, Dr. Dayun Choi worked by the light of glowing precursor panels. She had learned to mix human medicine with alien technology salvaged from the ruins. Her patients were survivors who had been wounded in scavenging runs or encounters with alien patrols. "How are we doing on medical supplies?" asked pilot Jihonam. He sat on one of her examination tables, nursing a burns on his arm from a Thrakari energy weapon. "We're learning to make do," Dayun said as she wrapped his wound. The precursor biosystems can produce basic antibiotics, and I've been studying their medical records. Any luck reading their language? Dayun smiled for the first time in weeks. Actually, yes. Minji has made a breakthrough. In the deepest part of the vault, xenorchaeologist Minji Han worked surrounded by floating holographic displays. Ancient precursor text glowed in the air around her as she cross-referenced symbols with alien databases they had captured. The precursors called themselves the First Builders, she explained to the small group gathered around her. They seeded the galaxy with technology and tests. But they faced something called the Great Purge, communications specialist Sun Zhou. Kong looked up from his jury-rigged equipment. Let me guess. Other species tried to wipe them out? Exactly. But here's the interesting part. The species that tried to destroy them are the same ones that just betrayed us. The Valith, Thurikari, Nalendi, and Corvexi. The precursors have been gone for millions of years, but they left detailed records of how to fight these exact enemies. Haiyan Wu felt something stir in his chest. It wasn't quite hope, but it was close. What kind of records? Minji gestured. To the holographic displays. Weapons specifications. Biological weaknesses. Battle tactics. Everything they learned during their war. It's like they knew someday another species would need this information. In the technical workshops, the survivors had learned to be creative. Sergeant Young-Sik Ru trained small groups in combat using weapons they had built from scrap metal and precursor components. The energy cells could power human rifles for weeks. The metal was stronger than anything Earth had ever produced. The aliens think we're all dead, Young-Sik told his students as they practiced in a cleared chamber. That gives us an advantage. They're not looking for ghosts. Biochemist Hejino had set up a laboratory in what used to be precursor research space. She studied samples of the poisoned atmosphere above and worked on ways to use it as a weapon. The radiation isn't natural, she explained to her assistant. The aliens use specific isotopes in their bombardment. If we can concentrate and refine them, we might be able to turn their own weapons against them. The survivors had also learned to be patient. Tactician Donghai SEO spent his days planning and preparing for operations they might not carry out for years. He studied alien patrol patterns, mapped their supply routes, and identified weak points in their occupation. They've divided our space between them, he reported during one of their evening briefings. The Valith took the resource-rich worlds. The Thrakari claimed the industrial centers. The Nalendi and Corvexi split the outer colonies. Any word from Earth? Someone asked. Sungho's face was stone. Earth is gone. The Nalendi turned the atmosphere into poison gas. Nothing lives there now. The room fell silent. Many of the survivors had families on Earth. Now they had nothing left except each other, and their growing hunger for revenge. But the most important discovery came by accident. Jiho had been exploring the deepest tunnels when he found a chamber that none of them had seen before. The door had been sealed behind precursor locks that only opened when a human touched them. Inside, they found something impossible. It's alive, whispered Minji as they stood before a massive crystal formation that pulsed with soft light. After millions of years, it's still alive. Crystal spoke to them in perfect human language. Greetings, inheritor species. The Arbiter, left here by those who came before. You have found this place because you were meant to find it. Haiyan Wu stepped forward, his heart pounding. You're a precursor AI? I am their final gift to the species they deemed worthy. You have been tested through betrayal and survival. You have proven your species possesses the qualities we valued: adaptability, resourcefulness, and the will to endure. What do you want from us? Solman asked. The question is what I can give to you. The weapons in this vault are only the beginning. There are 11 other sites across the galaxy, each containing technology and knowledge that your enemies cannot imagine. But first, you must prove you can use what you have here. The Arbiter showed them holographic displays of star maps, weapon blueprints, and tactical information. The technology was beyond human understanding, but it was designed to be learned by species like them. Your enemies believe they have one, the Arbiter continued. They think humanity is extinct. This gives you the greatest advantage of all. They will not see you coming. Over the following weeks, the survivors began to change. They learned to use precursor biotechnology to enhance their bodies. Their eyes adapted to see in complete darkness. Their lungs could filter poison from the air. Their reflexes became faster than any natural human. Wu Jin integrated precursor systems with human technology, creating weapons and tools that combined the best of both species. Energy weapons that never ran out of power. Armor that could turn invisible. Ships that could travel between stars without being detected. But the most important change was in their hearts. The humans who had been betrayed and left for dead were becoming something new. They were still human, but they were also something more. Something their enemies had never faced before. We're not the same people who came to this planet 6 months ago, Haiyan-Wu told his commanders during a planning session. We've learned what it means to be truly alone in a hostile galaxy. We've learned what it costs to trust the wrong people. What's our next move? Young-Sik asked. Haiyan-Wu looked at the holographic display showing alien patrol routes and supply ships. We start small. We hit their isolated outposts. We take their equipment and study their weaknesses. We make them think they're dealing with pirates or technical failures. And then? Salman asked. Then we show them what happens when you try to kill humanity and fail. The survivors worked through the night, preparing for their first strike against the species that had betrayed them. They were no longer refugees hiding in ancient ruins. They were becoming something their enemies would learn to fear. In the depths of the precursor vault, humanity was being reborn. The first human strike came like a whisper in the dark. Commander Haiyan-Wu Kim stood on the bridge of the stolen Corvexy scout ship Silent Fang. His body had changed over the past months. Precursor biotechnology flowed through his blood, making him stronger and faster than any normal human. His eyes could see in complete darkness, and his reflexes were quick enough to dodge energy blasts. Target acquired, reported pilot Ji-Ho Nam from the helm. He looked different too. His skin had a slight metallic sheen from the precursor enhancements, and neural implants behind his ears let him connect directly with the ship's systems. Through the view screen, they watched a Thrakari research vessel drift through space. The insect-like aliens inside had no idea they were being hunted. Remember, we need prisoners, Haiyan-Wu said to his strike team. The Arbiter needs to study their current technology. Lieutenant Soman Park checked her new weapons. The precursor energy rifle in her hands could cut through any known armor, but it was completely silent. Her team wore stealth suits that bent light around them, making them invisible to all sensors. Boarding tubes ready, she reported. We'll be ghosts until we want to be seen. The attack was perfect. The human boarding party moved through the Thrakari ship like shadows. The insect aliens never saw them coming. One moment the ship was secure. The next moment all the crew was unconscious on the floor, back in the precursor vault. Engineer Wu Jin Lee studied the captured alien technology with hungry eyes. Every device they stole taught them more about their enemies' weaknesses. Their shields can't stop our energy weapons, he reported to the Arbiter's crystal form. And their communications are still using the same encryption we broke months ago. Arbiter pulsed with satisfied light. Excellent. The Thrakari have not advanced since the ancient war. They still have the same vulnerabilities my creators discovered. But the real breakthrough came when they interrogated the captured aliens, Dr. Dayun. Choi had learned to use precursor mind-scanning technology. It was painless but thorough. The alien memories played on screens like movies, showing her everything. They knew. The Coalition has human prisoners, she announced during the next briefing. Thousands of them. They're being held in research facilities across 12 star systems. The room went silent. Everyone had thought they were the only survivors. What kind of research? Asked Haiyan-Wu, though he dreaded the answer. Dayun's face was grim. They're studying human biology, trying to understand what makes us adapt so quickly. They want to make sure no human can ever threaten them again. Sergeant Young-Sik Ru slammed his fist on the table. We have to save them. We will, Haiyan-Wu promised. But first, we need to be stronger. The Arbiter had been teaching them about the other precursor sites. Each one contained different technologies and weapons. The vault on Kethmorin was just the beginning. The nearest site is 3 jumps from here, the AI explained. It contains manufacturing systems that can build fleets of ships, but it is guarded by automated defenses that will test your worthiness. Communications specialist Sung Ho Kong had been monitoring alien transmissions. Sir, we have a problem. The aliens are starting to notice the missing ships and missing patrols. They think it might be pirates, but some of them are getting suspicious. Good, said tactician Dong Hai and Sia with a cold smile. Fear will make them make mistakes. Duh. The human survivors had been busy. They had modified captured alien ships with precursor technology, creating hybrid vessels that were invisible to enemy sensors. They had established hidden bases in asteroid fields and dead systems. Most importantly, they had begun to recruit. Former Ambassador Kyung-Soo Lim had been one of their most important rescues. The old diplomat had been held in a Valith prison, but he knew the locations of other human survivors scattered across the galaxy. There are resistant cells on at least 20 worlds, he reported, small groups of humans who escaped the initial purge. They've been hiding, waiting for someone. To coordinate them, can we contact them without alerting the aliens? Hyen Wu asked. Sung-ho grinned, his enhanced fingers dancing over precursor communication devices. The aliens don't even know these frequencies exist. We can talk to our people without anyone listening. The first rescue operation was a test of their new abilities. A group of 50 humans was being held on a Nalendi gas mining station. The aliens thought the location was impossible to assault because the atmosphere would kill any rescuer in minutes. They had not counted on humans who could breathe poison gas. Biochemist Hygieno had perfected the atmospheric filters that let enhanced humans survive anywhere. The rescue team led by Gioho simply flew through the toxic clouds and walked into the station like they owned it. This is impossible, one of the rescued humans whispered as they escaped. How are you still alive? How did you find us? We're harder to kill than the aliens thought, Jiho replied. Each rescue brought new skills and knowledge. Scientists, soldiers, pilots, engineers, and doctors joined their growing force. Every human they saved was someone who had seen their world destroyed and their people murdered. They all burned with the same cold fury. Xenarchaeologist Min Ji-han led the expedition to the second precursor site. It was hidden inside a black hole's event horizon, protected by technology that could manipulate space and time itself. Manufacturing systems here are incredible, she reported as they explored the vast automated factories. They can build anything we can imagine, as long as we provide the designs. The Arbiter's presence followed them to each new site. You are learning quickly, it observed. Your species has the potential to surpass even my creators. But you must be careful not to let revenge consume your judgment. Revenge is all we have left, Hyen Wu replied. No, the AI corrected him. Revenge is your fuel, but justice is your goal. There's a difference. The humans began building their fleet in secret. Ships that looked like alien vessels but were powered by precursor technology. Weapons that could destroy planets but leave no trace of who fired them. Soldiers who could infiltrate any alien facility and strike without warning, but their most important discovery came when they accessed the precursor historical records. The ancient species had not just fought the same aliens who betrayed humanity. They had won. The war lasted 3,000 years, Minji translated from the ancient files. The precursors were outnumbered 1,000,000 to 1, but they had advantages. Their enemies could not match, could adapt faster than any other species. They could learn from defeat and come back stronger. Sounds familiar, Salman muttered. The precursors eventually gave their enemies a choice, Minji continued. Submit to precursor rule or face extinction. Most chose submission. Those who refused were wiped out completely. What happened to the precursors themselves? Young-Sik asked. They transcended, became something beyond physical existence. But before they left, they seeded the galaxy with tests and gifts for the species they believed could follow in their footsteps. Hyen Wu understood. They were looking for their replacements, yes, and they found you, the first coordinated human. Attack hit 12 alien facilities simultaneously. Research stations disappeared without a trace. Supply convoys vanished in deep space. Communication relays went dark across 3 sectors. To the aliens, it looked like random equipment failures and pirate attacks. They had no idea they were facing an organized enemy using technology beyond their comprehension. But some of the alien leaders were starting to worry. Valith Commander Zilthara studied the reports from her crystal ship. The pattern is too consistent. To be coincidence, someone is targeting our operations. Impossible, replied Thurakari Hive leader Clickstar through the communication link. Our sensors show no hostile forces. Human technology was primitive. Even if some survived, they could not threaten us. Perhaps we did not kill them all, Zilthara suggested. Then we will finish the job. The insect alien buzzed angrily in the depths of space. Aboard the hidden human flagship Retribution, Commander Hyanwu smiled as he listened to the intercepted alien communications. His enhanced hearing could detect fear in the alien voices, even through translation software. They're starting to suspect, Soman observed. Good, Hyanwu replied. It's time they learned what happens when you try to commit genocide and fail. The awakening was complete. Humanity had risen from the ashes of betrayal, stronger and deadlier than ever before. Now the aliens had created their own worst nightmare, an enemy with nothing left to lose and everything to gain. The real war was about to begin. The war between humans and aliens was invisible to most of the galaxy, but it was the deadliest conflict in a million years. Specialist Jae-Won Cho moved through the Valith military base like a ghost. His precursor stealth suit bent light around him, making him completely invisible. The crystal aliens walked past him without knowing death was 3 feet away. He planted the device in their main computer core. It would slowly corrupt their data, making their weapons target their own ships. By the time they noticed, it would be too late. Target secured, he whispered into his unit. Moving to extraction point, 3 star systems away, Dr. Yeonsu Kim released her latest creation into a Thrakari water supply. The biological agent looked like normal bacteria, but it would slowly shut down the insect aliens' nervous systems. They would think it was a natural plague until their entire hive went silent. The beauty of the human strategy was its invisibility. Every attack looked like an accident or natural disaster. The aliens never saw humans coming because they still believed humans were extinct. Valith High Commander Morthok was the first to realize something was wrong. His crystal body flashed red with anger as he studied the reports on his command ship. The 17 outposts have gone dark in the past month. He told the assembled alien leaders through the quantum communicator. Our casualties are reaching critical levels. Havalita Clickstar's insect voice buzzed with confusion. Our sensor sweeps show no enemy forces, no hostile ships, no weapon signatures. It must be equipment failures. Equipment does not fail this consistently, Morthok replied. Someone is hunting us. Nalendi Cloudmine Zafara drifted in her gas form, her thoughts slow and heavy. The humans are dead. Saw their ships burn. We bombed their worlds to glass. Perhaps we missed some, suggested Corbexi war leader Sekthon, his snake-like body coiling with nervousness. Impossible, Clickstar insisted. Human technology was centuries behind ours. Even if survivors exist, they pose no threat. But humans, we're proving them wrong every day. Fleet Commander He Young-jung led a strike force of 12 invisible ships against a Corvexi battle group. The human vessels looked like empty space to enemy sensors, but they carried weapons that could crack planets. All ships target their command vessel, she ordered. Remember, make it look like their own weapons misfired. The attack was perfect. The Corvexi flagship exploded from the inside as its own torpedo launchers were turned against it. The other alien ships panicked and began firing at each other, thinking they were under attack by invisible enemies, which technically they were. Intelligence. Officer Seongmin Park orchestrated the galaxy's greatest deception from his hidden command center. Using captured alien communication codes, he sent false messages between enemy fleets. Attention Thurakari vessels, he transmitted using a perfect Valith communication signature. You have violated our territory. Withdraw or face destruction. The insect aliens, already nervous from unexplained losses, opened fire on the nearest Valith ships. Within hours, two former allies were shooting at each other across 3 star systems. "The Purification Pact is falling apart," reported communications specialist Sung Ho Kung with satisfaction. "They're blaming each other for the attacks. Trust between the species is breaking down." Commander Woo Kim studied the tactical displays from the bridge of his flagship. 2 years had passed since the betrayal on Kethmorin. The scared humans hiding in ancient tunnels were now the galaxy's most feared predators. "Sir, we've confirmed the location of the primary weapons facility," announced Lieutenant Soman Park. Her body had been enhanced so much that she barely looked human anymore. Her skin was metallic silver, and her eyes glowed with inner light. "Many sites do we control now?" Wu asked. "All 12 precursor installations are under human command," replied engineer Wu Jinli. "The manufacturing systems are running at full capacity. We can build fleets faster than the aliens can. Count their losses." The final phase of the human plan was about to begin. The day of reckoning came without warning. Across 47 star systems, human strike teams appeared simultaneously in alien capital cities. They materialized from thin air using precursor teleportation technology, their enhanced bodies moving faster than alien eyes could follow. On the Valith homeworld of Zelenith, crystal spires that had stood for millions of years began to crack and crumble. The humans had learned to disrupt the harmonic frequencies that held Valith architecture together. On Thrak Prime, the great hive cities fell silent as their collective minds were severed by human neural disruptors. Billions of insect aliens suddenly found themselves alone in their own heads for the first time in their species' history. The gas clouds of HFY. Melendi beings found themselves trapped in solid containment fields that compressed their gaseous forms into tiny spheres. They could think, but could not move or communicate. On Corvessa, the snake-like aliens discovered that their famous regeneration abilities had been permanently disabled by human bioweapons. Wounds that should have healed in minutes now festered and refused to close. The message was delivered simultaneously to every alien government in the galaxy. It came from Admiral Woo Kim, broadcasting from the bridge of the massive human dreadnought, Final Justice. He no longer looked entirely human. Precursor biotechnology had enhanced him beyond normal limits. His skin had a metallic sheen. His eyes burned with inner fire, and when he moved, reality seemed to bend around him. "People of the galaxy," his voice carried across every communication channel, "you have been lied to. Humanity is not extinct. We are very much alive, and we remember everything." The alien leaders who had ordered humanity's destruction watched in horror as their perfect worlds burned around them. "2 years ago, you tried to commit genocide against my species. You betrayed allies who trusted you. You murdered billions of innocent people. You thought you had succeeded. On every alien world, human forces moved with terrifying precision. They had studied their enemies for 2 years, learning every weakness and vulnerability.
Ow.
The attacks were not random destruction. They were surgical, targeted, and absolutely devastating. You made one critical mistake," Wu continued. "You did not finish the job." Former Ambassador Kyung-Soo Lim stood in the ruins of the Galactic Coalition building, surrounded by captured alien leaders. His diplomatic skills had been replaced by cold judgment. "Valith Commander Zilthera," he said to the crystal being who had ordered humanity's death. "You are charged with genocide, conspiracy, and crimes against sentient life. How do you plead?" The crystal alien's light pulsed weakly. "This is impossible. Your species was primitive. How did you become so powerful?" "We learned from the best teachers in the galaxy," Kangsu replied. "The precursors left us everything we needed to deal with species exactly like you. The trials were broadcast across every world in the galaxy. The aliens who had conspired to destroy humanity now faced judgment from the species they had tried to exterminate. But the humans offered something the aliens had never given them a choice. "Citizens of the galaxy," Admiral Hanwoo announced from his flagship, "humanity claims its rightful place as the dominant species. But we are not like those who came before us. We offer you the same choice the precursors once offered your ancestors. Submit to human authority and live as equals in our new order, or face the same extinction you tried to inflict on us.
Almost.
Alien species chose submission. They had seen what happened to those who opposed humanity, and they were not eager to share that fate. The Valith, who had prided themselves on crystal perfection, watched their homeworld's living crystals turn to sand and blow away in the wind. The Thrakri hive minds, severed from their collective consciousness, struggled to function as individuals. The Nalendi found their gas forms permanently contained, unable to drift free through space. The Corvexi discovered that wounds they had inflicted on others could now never heal from their own bodies. The galaxy has learned an important lesson, Hyanwu told his gathered commanders. Never underestimate a species that refuses to die. Historian Yunji Bei documented everything for future generations. Her enhanced memory could record events with perfect accuracy, ensuring that the story of humanity's resurrection would never be forgotten. We came to this galaxy as explorers and allies, she wrote in her records. We were betrayed by those we trusted most. They tried to erase us from existence. Instead, they taught us what we were truly capable of. The final scene of the Great War took place on Kethmorin, where it had all begun. The planet's surface was green again, terraformed by precursor technology. Human children played in gardens that grew where alien bombs had once fallen. Their parents watched the stars with enhanced eyes that could see across vast distances. They would never again be caught unprepared. They would never again trust blindly. They would never again allow anyone to threaten humanity's existence. In the deepest vaults of the precursor installations, the Arbiter's crystal form pulsed with satisfaction. The test is complete, it announced to the human leaders who had come to pay their respects. You have proven worthy of the inheritance left for you. What happens now? Asked Admiral Hyanwu. Now you become what we once were, guardians of the galaxy, teachers of the next species that shows promise. Not if necessary, judges of those who choose the path of genocide. The humans who had once been wounded, alone, and forgotten now stood as the galaxy's apex predators. They had learned the hardest lesson of all, that survival sometimes requires becoming something your enemies never expected you to be. In the end, humanity's greatest weapon was not precursor technology, or enhanced bodies, or invisible ships. It was the simple fact that they refused to stay dead when someone tried to kill them. The aliens had tried to commit the perfect genocide. Instead, they had created the perfect enemy. And that enemy was now their master.